Josh, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, good. Hey, I guess a good place to start is your signing class. What are your thoughts on the group of guys you signed?
Still waiting on a few letters of intent to come in today, but very, very talented bunch of kids, and really like just the types of kids that we're getting, mentality and personality to go along with the physical talent. Those are the kind of kids you're looking for. And this group to go along with the kids that arrived this fall, and then the kids that we got our eyes on in the upcoming years. You really grow to like them, and you grow to get to know them, especially in this unique time through notes and text and, just whatever you're allowed to do with them, since we haven't been able to be in person much in the last 8 months. So feel real good about it, and feel good about everything that's going on right now with the program.
Is there any particular players that kind of stand out to you in this class?
Wade, just bring me up to speed, Wade, on the rules right now. What am I allowed to comment on as far as all those kids go?
You can comment on all the guys that have signed to this point. So you should have that email from Kyle. So I think there's 9 or 10 of them. So
any kids that are on that list I can talk about specifically?
Yeah, any kid on that list that Kyle sent you can talk about specifically.
Great. Well, I think if Jacob, if you look at the kids that have come in so far, there's a couple of kids that kind of stand out from the standpoint of Rock Riggio from California is one of the best players in the state of California, and certainly one of the best players in the country. A couple of years ago, I went out to the underclass area code games in California, and I watched the tournament. When I came home, I said the best player out there is Rock Riggio. He's the best player in the tournament. And then to get a commitment from him, roughly 4 months later, and then ultimately to sign him earlier this week, that's a huge get for us. Very rarely do you walk away from a tournament and cite a kid as the best player in it and then actually land them and get them signed. So he really stands out. He's one of the few kids that could probably play every single position on the field and play it well. But he's a remarkable hitter and just has field presence through the roof. That being said, you go to the state of Florida, and 2 more kids, Alex Uloa and Aiden Miola out of the state of Florida. Those 2 kids bring similar presence to the field, similar talent, but also great personality, great on-field strength of personality, and really good physical tools. So some out-of-state kids for sure that really shined. Tyler Collins from the Dallas area, same way, one of the best athletes in the state of Texas, really stands out every time you see him. And then we're really pleased with the Oklahoma kids. Really strong bunch of kids from the state of Oklahoma. Super important to us to really stay strong in our state with kids that we know can really play, that we've got really good relationships with, that really wanted to be at Oklahoma State. So those things are valuable. We landed a pitcher out of Colorado in Ryan Urey, who, again, in going to the area class underclass games at the area codes 2 summers ago, he was probably the most projectable and impressive kid that I saw go to the mound from the left side. And then to come out of that tournament and having signed him, that was also strong. Without the list right in front of me, I don't want to leave anybody out. But, just off the top of my head, there's a lot to like about a lot of kids. There's, a lot of things about that particular group and the makeup and where they all come from that are good markers for us to be able to recruit strong, different places of the country, and to really, really be rock solid here in the state of Oklahoma. And then it's a good mix of high school kids and junior college kids. And so once all those letters of intent come in and you look at the group as a whole, I think it's a really, really fine group.
How much and finally for me, for now, how much did recruiting change for you during this COVID period, and how difficult was it?
Well, it's certainly different. You're so accustomed to watching games in person and meeting kids in person, and then you shift that to meeting kids via, telephone calls, occasional FaceTime calls, and then obviously learning about players from their coaches and then evaluating them off of film. There's a lot that can be done successfully through those channels, but there's also that comfort of seeing a guy with your own eyes and seeing the things that can't be filmed, the way they handle themselves during that downtime of a game, the way they react and interact with their teammates and react to success. All those things are super revealing about players. So you're going a lot on what your instincts tell you, a lot about those people that are close to the player tell you. And you're trusting your eye for talent. You're trusting your references that your coaches have as they identify players and cross-check them. And you're trying to put all that together and make good decisions. I think the best thing for this grade, the class of 2021, is a lot of these kids had been seen and evaluated prior to the COVID shutdown, since recruiting's happening so early. The classes of 22 and 23 is probably where more recruiting was done in a virtual setting and less with your own eyes. So, but yeah, I think our staff, Marty Lees, Coach Walton, myself, everybody here, we feel like, we got as comfortable with this recruiting set of circumstances as we possibly could.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Good morning.
Staying on a little bit on the recruiting side, what has it been like, having to manage this roster with those seniors getting to come back with the NCAA rules and also still having that freshman class getting to come in?
Well, it's been great to have our seniors back. The 5 super seniors is a great thing. And these are some of the best kids you could ever hope to coach, and to get an extra year with those kids has been fantastic. They've been leaders on campus this fall. They did a tremendous job of welcoming in the newcomers. They really, really helped us with our self-management on campus and staying healthy and keeping our team on the field during the fall semester, and helping everyone understand how to behave in a safe fashion and stay as healthy and disease-free as we can, and do our part to be a competitive team in the fall, but also respect the things going on. And I think leadership is a powerful way to get that message out to your team. And if a younger player realizes older players are doing all the right things, it's much more easy to get them to buy in. So our 5 super seniors have been fantastic. The newcomers have been good. I really appreciate the way they reported to campus in August and have been very much locked in. Here we are with 5 days left before we send them home for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So to this point, it's been a very good marriage of the returning players and the new players. And it's, I feel very fortunate that the kids have handled it so well.
Right. And, how are scholarships working with those seniors getting to come back and still having limited scholarships as it is?
Well, the NCAA allowed the super seniors to count in a different category, so that provided relief to manage your team, and that was a great thing. And then obviously here at Oklahoma State, Coach Holder and our administration from day one said we'll honor those scholarships, and so those young men get that 5th year paid for, and then you manage your roster with the remainder of your team accordingly within your normal parameters. So it's worked out fine. We've had a lot of really selfless kids and great families to work with that have helped make this formula work and allow us to have a cohesive group. And I'm very grateful for that, because it takes a lot of giving and a lot of sacrifice in a year like this for everybody, whether it's, coaches, players, families, you name it, across the board. Everyone in America, I think right now is probably experiencing some sort of different experience and some sort of sacrifice to make ends meet. So that definitely reached the college athletic scene for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you a little bit about competition on the mound, because I think you've got the makings of kind of an interesting competition there, where you bring back a lot of guys from last year, that great freshman class last year, a guy like Parker Scott. You add Eric Walker to the mix, a guy who's thrown a ton of innings at a high level. How would you characterize that competition that you saw in the fall? And then did anyone stand out to you and Rob in terms of, somebody who wasn't maybe on the radar that put themselves in that position that we might be hearing about come spring?
Yeah, it's a great question. We took our time in late August and early September to really make sure the kids were in shape to pitch. There was a little bit all over the map in terms of how much kids did in the summertime, so we really wanted to make sure they were healthy before we jumped into the team part of the fall. We got a good base underneath them. We were pretty, I would say, conservative in the way we used the kids during the fall. Never more than 2, maybe 3 innings per week. And over the course of the month of September and October, we were able to see these kids get to the mound many times, 6 or 7 different outings. And so we saw a lot. We saw the returning guys, good progress in those kids physically. I think Colton Bowman of the returning pitchers really stood out. Big jump for him from last year as a freshman to this year. I thought he really made big strides, more physical. He was throwing 3 excellent pitches. So I thought Colt stood out. Obviously, you mentioned Parker and some of the veteran pitchers who had more mound time under their belt. It was good to get Parker back on the mound this fall. He didn't pitch in the summer, so he was a little bit more game savvy in terms of wanting to get back out there. He continues to throw the ball well. I think when you look at newcomers and guys that maybe really that are fans or people that follow us closely are going to be excited to see, you're going to be excited about Justin Robleski, transfer from junior college in Florida, started his career at Clemson. He's a left-handed pitcher that flashed elite pitches, extremely competitive, very high end. He's going to factor into the mix to go along with the returners. And I think the guy that maybe people saw last year but really didn't know what to expect was Zach Cable. He returns from a great summer and really threw the baseball with tremendous aggression. At times was completely overpowering and dominant in scrimmages. His fastballs climbed into the upper 90s, and his slider is right around 90. So he threw 2 pitches in his outings that were really overpowering in the sense that, I don't think we've had anybody really feature those pitches at that level in a while. And then our freshmen did a really good job of establishing themselves and being competitive. So there's a lot to like about our pitching staff. There's a lot of new faces. There's a lot of returners. There's a lot of guys that have had mound time here. So it's a good group. It'll take our entire group to navigate the upcoming season. I see the season being very unpredictable in nature. I see roster management with managing a healthy roster from week to week as being challenging, and the unknowns about what type of schedule we may play if the schedule is altered to fit, due to some of the circumstances. So we'll be ready for it, but I like the way all those different pieces fit together. Returners, last year's freshman class, a year stronger, and then the newcomers that bring a lot of talent. It's a good group.
Hey Josh, how has it been, getting the fall camps in the new stadium?
Frank, it's been awesome. I mean, I think, as a coach, you're always keeping score mentally each day with how your team's progressing, right? And you're used to judging your fall, kind of basing it on previous falls where, how was the weather? How was the flow of practice? How was the health? How was the number of competitions? How did the fall go? And you always kind of in your mind are gauging the progress of your team based on how you feel about the way things are going. And I got to be honest with you, I thought the first 3 weeks of getting back here, getting the kids tested in, and then getting them started up physically again went really good. The school handled the testing and kind of the return to campus stuff in such a good fashion that we were lucky to get all the guys cleared and back up and going. And then from September 17th, I think was our first day until November 1st when we closed, I thought we had a tremendous fall. We were able to get our work in. The new facility has so many more training opportunities and spaces that we got so much done. I thought the team portion of the fall was an A+ for us. And the post-team portion, last week and this week has been maybe a little bit slower. We had to slow down just a bit to make sure we were testing a couple kids that had stomach viruses and some things. So we were very cautious and didn't push the group until we knew everyone was healthy. So the pre-fall and the team portion of fall ball in this new facility was A+ for us. We really got a lot done. I think we were definitely ahead of probably where we would have thought we would be. And now we're kind of closing the fall out here, getting kids ready for the break. It's an extended break, as you may well know, with fall break and Thanksgiving clumped together, and then the kids not returning to campus after Thanksgiving. That's a long time away, right? So trying to prepare them for how they'll keep themselves in shape over the month of December and January is kind of where our focus lies now. But the new facility, Frank, has been a huge difference maker for us.
Now, I know for the other sports like football and basketball, the scheduling conversation was pretty hectic for coaches. How has that conversation been for you in terms of season scheduling?
Well, as of right now, we're planning to play our original 56-game schedule until told otherwise. We've obviously brainstormed as Big 12 coaches, what scheduling options there may be if something were to change. But at this time, that's kind of where our schedule rests. And I think as we learn more from how the winter sports and football seasons finish up and start up, maybe that'll help us understand what the plan is for baseball. But as of right now, it's our understanding we'll play our 56-game schedule and then probably have a backup plan or two, much like you've probably seen in football and basketball. Some adjustments have been made to pull it off. So other than that, I don't know much more other than I know we're just all really, really eager to play. I think that baseball coaches and players would tell you, just like all the other athletes, we appreciate the effort that's been put in to let us compete. And we'll take what we can get. We'll be ready, and we'll take whatever the climate allows us to have.
And my last question for you is, because of the pandemic and what happened last season, it's been a long wait for you guys to be able to have your opener in the new stadium. What will that moment be like for you and for the program to be able to get there?
Well, we were fortunate enough that we got to move into this facility at the start of the fall semester, and that was a big deal because the first time you start walking in and out of a facility and calling it your new home, you're establishing a level of pride and a way of life, if you will, of taking care of your space, of respecting the things that you have, of getting comfortable and understanding what it's like to be at home. I think every great team has a home field advantage. And so we're learning our new home and developing a comfort here and a confidence level through fall camp that when you go into the spring and other teams come in, you want to feel right at home and ready. And so when we get to that point, there'll be some awesome first moments. And we just look forward to that because last year we could literally taste, that opening moment right before things shut down. So I think it'll be a big deal for us. I think it'll be a really exciting time to share with our fans. We've got a great group of loyal Cowboy baseball fans that have been waiting for this moment just like we have. So to open those gates and see our loyal fans pour in and see the players rise to the occasion will be fantastic, Frank. And we're very grateful because this is a time when so many things have been, cut back. And yet this has been a time for our program where we're beneficiaries of something pretty special.
Appreciate you, Josh.
Okay, Frank.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah, how are you?
Good.
I know Frank asked about the schedule, but one thing that is important is the testing for not only your team, but the testing all your opponents have to go through as well. Because of that, do you see longer series, maybe 4-game series, maybe non-conference teams coming into play 3 games instead of 2, just so you can get the most amount of games in with a team that's passed their tests?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, Robert. That's definitely something that's been spoken on, talked about. I think the Big 12, at least from my perspective, has done a great job of successfully launching soccer and football, and I think our golf and track programs had successful falls and were able to meet vast majority of the contests without cancellation. So there's a lot of really good thoughts and smart people looking at how to successfully get games in to put healthy teams on the field against one another, and then to also understand testing and how to test frequently during the week, the contact tracing, the pre-competition testing. So there's some people doing a great job, at least, here on our campus. I've been super impressed with the thoroughness, the thoughtfulness, and the science being used. So I would imagine if that continues to be the way to do it, that we could see that impact our baseball schedule as well. And whether it's 4-game series or however it shapes, if that gives us the best chance to play, then we're going to do it, because I think that's the combination of competitiveness and science and putting these athletes in a safe position. So if that keeps being the path, and if the frequency of testing and availability of testing and all that keeps improving, then hopefully baseball is a beneficiary of that by March.
As a coach, are you not opposed to playing more conference games and maybe adding to the conference schedule and less non-conference games?
I'm in favor of playing the full schedule however we have to do it. We've got a big roster of really good kids. They all want to play ball. We embrace whatever challenge is out there. You want to put your team in the best situation possible anyway. And so more high quality, high caliber games, as long as that's what your conference is doing or across the country, you just show up and compete like crazy. So we want to be in a setting where these kids get to go together and play and compete as often as possible. So whatever that looks like, we'll be ready for it. And we're in favor of any of these models that I know there's a few models being spoken on out there. I think there's an article or two that's been written about the possible 4-game weekend model and the conference only model and all these other things. So just, it's good food for thought right now. I don't think anything's changed as of yet, but if it went that way, the Cowboys will be ready.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the time, Josh. I just kind of wanted to go back to recruiting for a second. Have a lot of these guys had the opportunity to visit, or is this kind of signing sight unseen for this group?
Vast majority of the kids in the class of 2021 were able to visit last fall before the pandemic. And so a good majority of the kids that were verbaled and that ultimately signed this week, I wouldn't say 100% of them, but a vast majority of them have been to Stillwater. We did see them in person prior to all this going on. Some didn't, but a vast majority did. So I think it's the younger generations, the grades of 2022 and 2023, that those kids are being recruited by colleges and by us, but maybe have not yet been to campus and or been face-to-face with the staff because, since March, we've essentially been, shut down.
And we talked about Nolan a little bit in the early or late summer. How has he progressed now that you've had more of an opportunity to see him?
Well, Nolan's really, really talented. He's been splitting his time with football and baseball, and has spent probably 90% of his time with football. And that was the plan we had going in, that he would come in and compete full-time in both sports. And right now it's football season. So he's been a full-time member of Coach Gundy's squad and part of the quarterback room. And he's learning the Cowboy offense and really getting his feet on the ground as part of our football program. And we've had him from time to time over here at baseball, around football when there's minutes and days available. But from the limited look on him on the baseball field, just a very gifted player. He has incredible raw power. He's a very explosive, strong athlete. And he's also a talented pitcher, albeit we haven't been able to develop the pitching side with the frequency of football throws and such. But he's a very, very talented kid. And we, when we get him out here full time in January, I think, you're going to see him take off on this side of the street as well.
How different is that motion, I guess, from a football and throwing a baseball? What are the different mechanics that are involved?
Oh, it's just, different muscle groups, a different ball, a different center of the ball, different weight. You really don't want to start to cross-train those too much. You want to try to be very mindful of a kid's body and frequency of throw. So you got to be mindful of that. You certainly don't want as a coach. You know, I haven't coached a two-sport athlete in a while, let alone a quarterback / pitcher, third baseman. So that's a unique dynamic, but one that we're definitely up to. And we knew this going in and recruiting Nolan. This was super important to he and his family that he do this. And we're 100% committed to managing it. So when we get to January, the football season will have come to an end, and he'll have a chance to shift his throwing schedule to baseball, and then we'll go from there. But I think throwing the two objects is very different. I mean, a football, you see some guys that can throw the snot out of a football, and they pick up a baseball, it feels like a BB, you know, and so vice versa. So I think it's a little bit of a skill, but he's very skilled on both sides.
Thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
Hey, Coach. A couple more things. You know, bouncing off of Robert's questions earlier, did seeing the MLB pull off its season, you know, give you some relief that, you know, baseball can be played when the fall rolls around or the spring rolls around?
Well, Chris, I mean, it was fascinating to follow that. I think all of us that were looking for sports during the summer and some sense of hope that athletics would find a way to do it. Whether it was watching the NBA unfold and then obviously watching Major League Baseball unfold and then, you know, rooting for college football to start, you saw some different approaches. You saw some empty stadiums. You saw some stadiums with fans. You saw these very protected bubbles. You saw all these different approaches to try to keep people safe and healthy and on the field. I was, like most baseball purists, thrilled to see baseball. It took a while to get used to the cardboard cutouts, but by the end of it, it was just fun to watch guys play baseball. And so I think, yes, I think baseball can be successfully played. We saw it. I think protecting these kids and creating a safe lifestyle for them on campus is our first responsibility, to keep them healthy, to keep them attending class healthily, to feed them in ways that's healthy, to organize practices and training sessions that are safe, but also allow the athlete to make gains. And so if we keep our eye on that and keep coming up with, you know, ways to train and prepare safely, then you hope that some of the distance that baseball provides as far as being spread out and the fact that it's not quite as much of a contact sport as, say, some of the others where the kids are not quite as in that kind of man-to-man defense, if you will, right? With baseball, you've got some gaps in there. So you hope that that's part of our sport's ability to stay spread out, to play outside, that maybe that baseball has a chance to be successful. So Major League Baseball gave us a little bit of a look. It'll be up to us and our decision-making and our discipline to try to avoid things that put us at risk.
All right, then final thing for me, you know, what were some of those conversations like with the super seniors when the NCAA decided to allow them to come back?
Well, I kind of held off on all of them, to be honest with you, because I wanted it to be their decision to come back. I wanted it to be what was in their heart. I think you never want kids to feel like you're deciding for them what they need to do or should do, especially when those kids had options. They had options to sign professionally or to come back. So really each one of them, probably starting, you know, with Cade and one by one, talking with them and hearing in their voice their conviction to come back and wanting to finish what they'd started and wanting to be part of this new stadium and just wanting to go out really more on their terms and not have their college baseball careers end the way it did last spring. It was very apparent in their heart that this is what they wanted to do. And once you hear that as a coach, then you know that it has a chance to be a very powerful thing to have that type of fifth-year leadership on your team. And these guys have been fantastic, and really they're pure. Their intentions are pure. They want to play together and they want to win. They want to go out in style. They want to play for Oklahoma State, and they're all going to be in line to finish their degrees. And you know, it's really a win-win situation for them and certainly for our program.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome, Chris.
Hey, Josh. Go ahead, Ryan. You're good.
Okay, thanks. I wanted to ask a little bit about like what Frank was asking about earlier with the new stadium. So I wanted to ask kind of just like what it was like going from Alley P over to O-grade? Just like, what was that transition like?
Yeah, Ryan, it was awesome. I mean, everything we ever did at Alley P. Reynolds Stadium was fantastic. And then when it was time to move from that home to this one, it's that same excitement, that you feel. It's just it's a new home. And so from day one of moving in here, from the first time that gigantic American flag was raised to the first time the scoreboard was turned on, to the first batting practice session, the first scrimmage home run. I mean, all these moments where you see something happen for the first time is really fantastic. And I think the thing our players have benefited from the most is, especially this particular fall, is the space we have here, our ability to bring them in groups and keep them spread out, to train frequently, but to train more efficiently, and also to do so with more room. It's made it a better environment, a safer environment. It's allowed us to get an awful lot of things done. And so there's really just been from day one of moving over here, every day is a new one, but certainly from coaches to players to staff, you name it. It's just it's awesome. I mean, what can I tell you? It's been great, and that's no knock on where we were. It's just simply embracing this gift and using this facility each day to make these kids better. And they respect it. They take great care of their space. They respect, just having such an awesome home to go to. And we want to keep it that way forever.
Do you remember what some of the players' reactions were to seeing the stadium and the facilities and being around them for the first time?
Well, you got to remember, some of the veteran kids saw it last year before they went home, so they had a glimpse. The first-year kids obviously were excited, but I think the first moments, I think, are the first time you flip the lights on and play at night, and first home run hit in a game, just all those moments where it's kind of cool to see how the ball carries and who can hit one the furthest and who's going to hit one off the scoreboard. All these different things that ball players do and that coaches do, those kind of mark your feel, if you will, for your new space. And so that happened on a daily basis. I mean, there wasn't a single day we didn't roll out here where guys had a smile on their face and the music wasn't blaring and that beautiful green grass wasn't waiting for us. So we just loved the heck out of it every day. I mean, it was, just a fall of joy to be back out there, and more importantly, just joy that we were allowed to be out there, because last spring, from that point forward, we weren't.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Ryan.
Hey, Josh, I was going to ask the financial cutbacks that the whole athletic department went through. How does that kind of impact you with the coaching staff and on the field and whatnot?
Well, Jacob, it's just, whether it's the budget things that we have to make sacrifice for is something we all understand. We're all willing to be even more spot on with our spending and our decisions. Luckily for us, we really have a vast majority of the things we need already. So for us to just be even more mindful of spending and more efficient with how we use things is no skin off our back. That's just part of being responsible. It's part of understanding what's at stake here and what our needs are as a university. So we can all do our part when it comes to that. Our kids are grateful for all the things we do have, so we don't focus on anything that maybe has been cut out or moved to the side. We've had an amazing fall camp. Our kids have been cared for and loved. That's more important than any extra gear or extra equipment or any of those things. When it comes to some of the other cutbacks that are necessary to get through this, we all understand that there's some people that have it a whole lot worse than we do, and we're not going to sit around and complain or feel sorry for ourselves. We're lucky we get to do this. We appreciate the heck out of Oklahoma State and our athletic department for being compassionate and understanding that these are tough times. And one thing about Oklahoma State people, we're loyal to our school. We will band together and get through this, and we will put our players and the students here first. And we'll take care of our families, and we'll be strong when this comes and goes, and we'll continue forward. So you just have to have the right mindset about it. I mean, there's a lot of people, that have suffered during these last 8 or 9 months. And so some sacrifice and some small cutbacks is just part of life that you have to realize it's just going on everywhere. And so we haven't lost a whole lot of sleep over it. At times it's tough, but we're grateful for what we do have. I'll tell you that.
Is Robin coming back? I know last spring he talked about like he was planning on it, but is that official or anything?
Yeah, we have our full coaching staff intact. Our staff is here. We are enjoying the time together. The kids are super lucky to have guys like Robin back as a student coach and Matt back as a volunteer coach to go on Coach Lees and Coach Walton. Myself, our office staff is all here. We have a really fantastic bunch of people. You saw last night, Abreu wins the American League MVP award, and I just sent a message to the kids on the team. Hey guys, this guy's a great player. Pretty cool that you get to be around someone each day that managed him, that can tell you what makes this guy so great. It's just the access, the information, conversations the kids can have with their coaches, the kind of care that the people here have for them, whether it's, looking out for them off the field, looking out for their training, their nutrition, their baseball, their lives. I mean, it's just a really good group of men that love baseball. And I think it's the love for Oklahoma State that's allowed us all to come together in Stillwater.
Speaking of the MLB guys, you talked to your old roommate, Kevin Cash?
Really, actually did not. I obviously followed that closely. I thought I'd probably give him a chance to catch his breath this winter and reach out to him. He had an unbelievable season. Obviously got manager of the year, and his team was, took the Dodgers to the brink. But I think the Dodgers were clearly the best team. I don't think anybody that watched that would say that the best team didn't win.
Thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any questions? You want to wrap it up? All righty. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate it, Josh.
Okay. Nice to see you guys.
You too. Thanks.
Okay. Take care.